I wasn't supposed to be anywhere near downtown that evening. The quarterly leadership summit I was attending wrapped up earlier than expected. It was one of those off-site events with stale coffee, awkward icebreaker activities, and too many guys in khakis pretending to be excited about synergy. I'd been looking forward to finishing early, not because the summit was bad, but because I figured I'd head home, grab a burger, and maybe get a head start on that project I'd been pushing off all month. But something tugged at me as I got into my car. Kate was supposed to be out of town, a 2-day leadership training in San Diego. She'd told me all about it the week before, how her manager hand-picked her to represent the team. They're sending the best of the best, she'd said, proud and glowing. I didn't doubt it. She'd been working hard, putting in long hours, landing clients like it was nothing. I was proud of her too. I really was. Still, I couldn't shake the thought that I'd silence. Usually when Kate traveled for work, she'd send little updates throughout the day. A photo of her hotel room. A funny sign at the airport. Some passive-aggressive comment about her coworkers. But today? Barely a text. Just one in the morning that said, heading into training, teat while red heart, and that was it. No follow-up. No check-in. Just radio silence. I figured maybe she was just busy. Maybe the hotel Wi-Fi **ked or the sessions were back-to-back. But I still found myself driving not south toward home, but north toward our place in Burbank. Maybe I'd water the plants. Maybe I'd change into something more comfortable. Maybe I just missed her. And that's when I got the text. Dude, is Kate in LA? Thought she was out of town. It was from Sean, a buddy I've known since college. We're not best friends, but close enough that we catch a game now and then or trade memes when we're bored. He's not the type to stir drama. If anything, he avoids it. I frowned at the message, confused, and typed back. Yeah, San Diego. Why? He replied almost instantly. You sure? Check these out. Just saw her at Silver Lantern. Thought maybe I was seeing things. He sent 2 photos. And I swear my stomach dropped. There she was. Kate. Clear as day, sitting on a low leather couch in the lounge of the Silver Lantern, this dim little bar in downtown LA. The first photo was wide, a group **T, people talking, drinks in hand. But the second one, that one made my hands shake. In the second photo, Kate was sitting close, too close, to a man I didn't recognize. He had on a crisp white dress shirt, sleeves rolled up to the elbow, hand resting on his thigh. Their knees were touching, angled in toward each other like they were sharing secrets. She was laughing, not politely, not professionally. She was leaning in. Her body language was open, warm, familiar. Like they'd known each other forever. I stared at the photo, trying to make it make sense. Maybe it was someone who looked like her. Maybe it was a doppelganger, same hair, same smile, same beige blazer she packed 2 nights ago. Or maybe it was old. Maybe Sean had seen something from last year. But then I saw the timestamp on the photo. Taken less than an hour ago. And then my heart really started pounding. I zoomed in on the background, recognizing the etched glass divider behind her, same design we'd noticed the one time we visited the Silver Lantern together. I remembered because she joked about how it looked like a church window in a bar. She hated the place. Said it was overpriced and pretentious. And now she was there during a work trip she wasn't supposed to be anywhere near LA? I didn't respond to Sean. I couldn't. I was too busy staring at my screen, fighting the twisting feeling in my gut. I drove the rest of the way home in silence, not really knowing what I'd say or do or think. She got home around 10 p.m. I was sitting on the couch, pretending to watch some random cooking show. The volume was low and I could hear the keys jangling outside the door before she walked in. She looked tired. Hair down, makeup faded, blazer slung over her arm. But there was something else, that energy. Not rushed, not flustered. Just calm. Like everything was completely normal. Hey, she said, flashing me that smile. You're home early. Yeah, I said, keeping my voice steady. Training ended a bit ahead of schedule. She nodded, stepping into the kitchen and pulling a water bottle from the fridge. Lucky. We were in sessions all day. Barely had time to eat. I stood up and walked over to the kitchen island. Where was it again? That hotel you mentioned. She didn't flinch. Hilton, right by the gas lamp. Really nice. They even had one of those coffee stations with free cold brew. Fancy. I nodded slowly, then pulled out my phone and turned the screen toward her. Then what's this? She blinked, then leaned in slightly, looking at the image. I watched her face closely, waiting for a twitch, a reaction, anything that would betray panic or guilt. But instead she smiled. Oh, that, she said with a casual shrug. That's just Daniel. We grabbed a drink after the conference. A few of us did, actually. He's on that client project we're consulting on. Lives in LA, funny guy. You'd like him. I stared at her. You're telling me this was taken in San Diego? She tilted her head. No, I told you we were in San Diego. But the last session ended early and Daniel offered to drive back to LA with a few of us. Just for a nightcap, nothing big. A nightcap, I repeated, my voice a notch colder. She raised an eyebrow. What's the problem, Anthony? It was a harmless drink. You can even text Maya, she was there too. Don't read too much into it. It's just a bad angle. We weren't alone or anything. She was calm. Way too calm. Like she'd rehearsed this. And that's what hit me hardest. Not just the lie, or maybe it wasn't even a lie yet, but how smoothly it came out. How quickly she wrapped the narrative into something safe, something I was supposed to just nod along to. She kissed my cheek after and went upstairs to shower like it was the end of a normal day. But for me, it wasn't. I sat on the couch for a long time, staring at the paused screen, heart thudding in my chest. I didn't know what bothered me more, the photo itself, or how easy it was for her to explain it away. That night, I laid in bed beside her, pretending to sleep. But my mind was racing. And in that moment, I realized something I couldn't unrealize. There was a version of her I didn't know. And maybe, just maybe, I never really did. It's funny how your mind works once that seed of doubt is planted. Before that night, I never thought of myself as the suspicious type. I trusted Kate. Completely. But something about the way she brushed off the photo, so smooth, so casual, unsettled me in a way I couldn't shake. The next morning, while she sipped coffee and tapped out emails from the kitchen, I stared at the back of her head and tried to remember the last time I really believed everything she told me. That's when the floodgates opened. Little things, random details from the past 6 or 7 months, started replaying in my head like some twisted highlight reel. At the time, they felt harmless, annoying maybe, but harmless. Now they made my skin crawl. The late nights at work. The weekends she spent catching up on strategy decks with her laptop propped open but screen always tilted away from me. The time she came home wearing a hoodie I'd never seen before, oversized, navy blue with some obscure tech logo on the sleeve. She said it got cold in the office and someone lent it to her. She laughed it off, said I should see how the team hoards hoodies like trading cards. I didn't think twice about it. I even folded it for her when she tossed it on the couch. But now I remembered how quickly she shoved it into the hamper when I walked in the room. How she didn't offer a name. Then there was her phone. She used to leave it everywhere, on the kitchen table, in the bathroom, on the nightstand, unlocked and face up. But lately it was glued to her. Always face down. Always locked. She changed her password a few months back and never mentioned it. I only noticed because one morning it buzzed on the bathroom counter and, without thinking, I went to turn off the alarm. That old 6-digit code? Didn't work anymore. I asked her about it later and she laughed. Said she updated it because she read something about phone security on a Reddit thread. You should change yours too, she added. Everyone's getting hacked these days. Right? And then there was that one night, maybe 2 months ago, she came home late, said her Uber dropped her off a block away because of road work. Her cheeks were flushed. She smelled like perfume and smoke, like she'd been standing outside a bar. She tossed her heels by the door, mumbled something about her manager being a control freak, and crashed on the couch. I remember kneeling down beside her, brushing a strand of hair from her face and asking if everything was okay. She gave a tired smile, said, just a long day, and pulled the blanket up over her shoulder. I believed her. Back then, I always did. Now I couldn't stop replaying that moment, wondering if I'd missed something obvious, something screaming at me right in front of my face. I tried to shake it off. Maybe I was spiraling. Maybe I was just hurt. I hadn't exactly given her the benefit of the doubt after seeing that photo. Maybe I was letting paranoia get the better of me. That's what I told myself. But deep down I knew. You can tell when the foundation of something starts to rot. It's subtle at first, a creak here, a shift there. But eventually you feel the whole thing start to sag under your feet. I started watching her more closely after that. I didn't want to. I hated the way it made me feel. Like some jealous, insecure cliché. But I couldn't help it. I paid attention to the names that came up in conversation. I noticed when she said a coworker instead of a name. I noticed how her tone changed when she said she had to step out for another strategy sync. She started spending more time in the guest room, too. Said she needed a quiet place to take Zoom calls without me accidentally walking by shirtless or muttering something embarrassing in the background. That made sense at the time. But once I passed by the guest room and heard her laugh. Not her professional laugh. Her real laugh. The one she used when she felt free. It hit me harder than I expected. That weekend, she said she had a team bonding brunch on Sunday and wouldn't be back until mid-afternoon. I nodded. I didn't even question it out loud. But as soon as she left, I grabbed the hoodie she'd buried in the back of the closet and checked the label. A custom company logo I didn't recognize. I Googled it. A small tech startup in Westwood. Not her firm. Not even her client. When she got back later, I asked how the brunch was. She said it was fine. Kinda boring, she added, kicking off her shoes. Mostly just small talk and mimosas. I nodded. Did Maya make it? She hesitated. Yeah. Briefly. I checked Maya's Instagram that night. She'd posted a story from Palm Springs that morning. Poolside. With a margarita. Hashtag self-care weekend. I didn't bring it up. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because suddenly I was terrified. Not just of what she might say, but of the fact that I didn't know what I'd do if she told me the truth. So instead, I let it fester. I started noticing patterns. Noticing how she rarely asked about my day anymore. How she never touched me in passing like she used to. How when I was home late one night and surprised her in the kitchen, she jumped like I'd caught her stealing. She smiled too much when she didn't need to. Over-explained little things. Got weirdly defensive over nothing. Once, her phone lit up on the table and I happened to glance at it. The preview said, "Hope your meeting isn't as boring as mine's," smirking face. No name. No contact photo. Just a wink emoji like it was normal. She flipped it over before I could say anything and kept talking like nothing had happened. I stared at her hands as she picked up her glass of wine, wondering if they'd held someone else's face recently. The worst part wasn't the suspicion itself. It was what it did to me. I started questioning myself. Every time she laughed at a text or left the room to take a call. Every time she came back from drinks with the team later than she said. I began tracking her moods like weather patterns, trying to guess what kind of day she'd had based on how long she stayed in the shower or whether she kissed me goodnight. I used to feel at home with her. Now I felt like a stranger tiptoeing through a house that wasn't mine anymore. Some nights I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to make peace with the idea that maybe love fades. Maybe we were just drifting. Growing apart. But then I'd remember the photo. Her knee against his. That laugh. And I'd feel the walls around me shift. Something was happening. And I wasn't crazy. Not anymore. A few days after that text message with the wink emoji, I decided I was done living in the shadows of maybe. I didn't want to be the guy checking his wife's phone. I didn't want to be the guy who couldn't trust his partner to tell the truth. But I was already there, wasn't I? Already keeping mental tabs on her schedule, already lying awake in a bed that didn't feel safe anymore. The version of our marriage that still existed in her stories, it wasn't real. Not anymore. So I made a plan. The following Thursday, Kate said she'd be heading to another evening leadership session. Same spiel. Same energy. Should be a long one, she said, tossing her keys into her bag. Don't wait up. I didn't. I told her I had a late call with a client on the East Coast, which wasn't a total lie, but I left out the part where I wouldn't actually be at home for most of the night. I watched her drive off, made sure her taillights disappeared down the street, and then I opened the family location app. We hadn't used it in months, not since a road trip up to Big Bear. But the app still worked. Still quietly pinged each other's phones every now and then in the background. I tapped her icon. Westbound on the 10. No sign of her heading south toward San Diego. No convention center. No team. Just a quiet GPS stop making its way toward Westwood. That alone wasn't proof. But it was enough. I threw on a hoodie, grabbed my keys, and got in the car. The drive was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you aware of your own breathing. My mind kept skipping ahead, playing scenes that hadn't happened yet. Kate caught red-handed, me walking in on something unexplainable, her face twisting into some unreadable version of itself. But maybe I was still wrong. Maybe I'd show up and find her there with her team after all. Maybe there'd be a perfectly good reason. Still, I didn't slow down. When I reached the hotel, the Avalon off Wilshire, I parked a block away in a small lot behind a shuttered diner. I didn't want her to see my car. Didn't want to spook her if I was right. The building itself wasn't flashy, but it was quiet. Upscale. Discreet. The kind of place where no one asks questions. I stepped inside the lobby and sat down in the corner, pretending to be on a call. Ordered a coffee from the lounge kiosk. Waited. At the 15-minute mark, I started sweating. At 20, I told myself this was insane. That I'd made a mistake. That I should just get up and leave. At 23 minutes, the elevator pinged. She stepped out laughing. Her hair was slightly tousled. That same blazer from the photo, unbuttoned now, sleeves rolled up. She was fixing one earring with her right hand while the other held a phone loosely at her side. And right behind her, like a ghost walking out of a dream, was the man from the photo. White shirt, neatly tucked. Confident stride. He reached out and tapped her on the shoulder, said something I couldn't hear, and she laughed again, this high, easy sound I hadn't heard in weeks. She didn't see me. They walked right past where I sat, not even glancing in my direction. His hand hovered briefly behind her lower back. Not touching. Just close. I stayed seated, watched the lobby doors close behind them, watched her walk down the sidewalk like she had nothing to hide. And I felt my stomach drop. Because there it was. I didn't have to guess anymore. Didn't have to wonder. The puzzle wasn't a puzzle, it was a map. And I was already standing at the destination. It took me another 10 minutes to move. When I finally stepped outside, the night air hit me like a slap. I could still see them across the street, walking toward what looked like a parking garage. I didn't follow. I couldn't. I'd already seen too much. Instead, I got back into my car and just sat there, engine off, hands gripping the wheel so tightly it hurt. For a long time, I didn't cry. Didn't scream. Just stared at the dashboard, blinking. I drove home in silence. She didn't beat me there, which meant she went somewhere else after the hotel. Maybe his place. Maybe a bar. Maybe just a drive to unwind. Either way, it didn't matter. I already knew. When she finally got home, just past midnight, she slipped in quietly like a teenager sneaking in past curfew. I was still on the couch, lights dimmed, a fake Netflix menu paused on the screen. She didn't expect to see me. "Hey," she said, startled. "I thought you had a late call." "I did," I said, not looking at her. "It ended early." She paused. "You okay?" I nodded slowly. "Tired." She stood there for a moment longer, then walked past me and into the kitchen. I listened to the sound of the fridge door opening. Water pouring. The glass clinking on the countertop. She didn't say anything else. Neither did I. But everything had changed. That night, I lay in bed with my back to her, pretending to sleep. Every time she shifted, I stiffened, wondering if she could hear my heart racing. But she didn't touch me. Didn't say goodnight. Just turned off her lamp and rolled over. Like always. The next morning, I left early for work without waking her. I couldn't stand to see her face. But I wasn't done. I knew I needed more than just memory and instinct. I needed evidence. Not for court or revenge, but for me. Something tangible to hold onto when the gaslighting started. Because I knew, deep down, that if I confronted her without it, she'd twist it. She'd spin it. She was too good at that. So that afternoon, I took *TS of the location data. Stored them in a folder. Then I dug out a backup phone I kept in a drawer, charged it, and installed a simple tracking app on it. Slipped it into the lining of her work tote the next day while she was in the shower. It felt wrong. Ugly. Like something I judged someone else for doing. But after seeing her walk out of a hotel with another man, laughing like nothing mattered, I didn't care. I just wanted the truth. The rest of the week passed like a bad play. We said all the right things at all the right times, talked about groceries, the lawn guy, the dog she said she still wanted. But it was hollow. I watched her float through our routines like a stranger in her own skin. She never mentioned that night. Never mentioned Daniel or any evening leadership training. On Friday, she said she'd be staying late again, something about a debrief session with her project lead. That evening, I checked the tracker. She was at another hotel. Not the same one as before. A different spot. Trendier. Louder. Younger. But still not San Diego. Still not the office. And still not me. The next morning, everything felt too quiet. Kate was humming in the bathroom, casually applying makeup like nothing had happened the night before. Like she hadn't spent the previous evening checked into another boutique hotel that wasn't on any business itinerary. She didn't know I knew, and I was still pretending not to. That balance, her deception, my silence, had become the tightrope we both walked without looking down. But I wasn't playing passive anymore. After she left for what she claimed was a Saturday planning session, I opened my laptop and checked the tracking app. Her location was bouncing between Westwood and Santa Monica now. No work event. Just drifting around the same areas I'd been seeing all week. Cafes. Parking garages. A florist. And then, just before noon, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "If you want to know the whole truth about Kate, check your email." I stared at the message, heart stuttering. I didn't recognize the number. No name. No context. No threats. Just a quiet, almost considerate suggestion. It could have been spam. A cruel joke. But I opened my inbox anyway. There was a new message waiting. No subject. No sender name. Just a string of numbers as the email address. And inside? Dozens of attachments. Photos. *TS. Location pings. A Google Drive link with timestamped logs. Messages. Text threads. It took me a moment to click. My hand was shaking. The first image showed Kate sitting in a park. Not our park. Not anywhere we'd ever been together. She was laughing, a sandwich in her hand, and the man beside her, the same one from the hotel elevator, was brushing something off her cheek. The next photo was in a cafe. They were seated across from each other, knees touching under the table. He was holding her hand. She wasn't pulling away. Another *T, a concert venue. Her in a denim jacket I'd never seen before, hair down, his arms slung casually around her shoulders as she leaned into him, their faces only inches apart, completely unaware of the camera. Then came the messages. Hundreds of them. Some were mundane, logistical, meet you after work, or I'll grab the wine. But others cut deeper. Kate, it's crazy how easy it is to lie to him now. Unknown, because he trusts you. Kate, that's the worst part. He still makes me coffee in the morning. Unknown, guilt fades. This is real. I had to stop scrolling. I felt sick. Everything inside me went cold. It was like the air had been *Ked out of the room. I stood up, paced to the kitchen, poured a glass of water I couldn't bring myself to drink. I wanted to scream. I wanted to drive straight to wherever she was and demand answers. But I didn't. Instead, I sat back down and kept reading. At the end of the email, after all the evidence, after all the images of betrayal and secrets and casual deception, was one single sentence in bold. You need to know. She's not who you think she is. And then, just below that, he's not either. For a moment, I didn't understand. But then I saw it buried in the metadata of one of the image files. A name. Stephen G. I copied it, dropped it into a search bar, added Kate next to it. Didn't expect much. But a LinkedIn profile popped up. Stephen Grant. IT consultant. Los Angeles. Freelance contractor. Worked with mid-sized firms, including, there it was, one of the agencies Kate had done a project mentorship with 6 months ago. I clicked on his profile image. Same guy. Same white shirt. Same smug half-smile. Same guy who stood next to my wife like he owned her. I kept digging. Company site. His bio. And there, at the bottom of the page, married. 2 kids. A personal blog link led to a page titled Life with Monica. A picture of him, his wife, and their 2 toddlers on a beach. My breath caught. He wasn't just a guy. He was a husband. A dad. And suddenly, the mystery texter made sense. This wasn't some troll. This was someone inside the fallout. Someone who'd watched it unfold just like I had. Someone who knew what it felt like. Later that day, another message arrived. I'm Stephen's wife. My name is Monica. I'm sorry this is how you found out. I stared at it for a long time before replying. How long have you known? She responded in less than a minute. I've suspected for a while, but I only recently confirmed it. He started leaving at weird hours, saying he had late projects. I saw a hotel charge on our account. He tried to explain it away. Then I found a message. An unsent draft. To your wife. She attached it. I opened the screenshot *T. K, I can't stop thinking about the other night. It's dangerous, but I don't care anymore. I want you not just for an escape. I want to find a way to make this real. Tell me you feel the same. I stared at the message, bile rising in my throat. I didn't even realize I was typing. I don't even know where to start. Monica replied, me neither. But I thought you deserved to know. I couldn't keep it to myself. Over the next few hours, we messaged back and forth. Carefully at first, then more openly. Monica had been piecing things together for months. She'd tracked Stephen's GPS history, dug through hotel receipts, found texts backed up to their cloud account. She even ran timestamps on credit card charges to line them up with trips Kate claimed were work-related. We compared calendars, trips, expenses, timestamps. It all matched. It wasn't random. It wasn't new. Kate and Stephen had been seeing each other regularly for at least 6 months. Airports, parks, office visits, concerts, hotels. They'd built a second life inside the cracks of ours. Monica sent one last message that night before signing off. I used to think cheating was about passion, about being swept away. But this was planned. They made choices, over and over again. I didn't respond. I just stared at her words. Choices. That's what hit me hardest. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It wasn't a drunken lapse in judgment. It wasn't a kiss that went too far or a text thread that got emotional. It was a routine. It was daily. It was deception practiced so casually, so methodically, it made my head spin. And somehow I'd missed it. I walked through the house that night like a ghost, touched the things we'd bought together. The couch where she laughed at Netflix shows, the candle she loved lighting on weekends, her favorite mug still drying on the rack. It was all fake now, or maybe it had always been. She came home just after 10, quiet, calm, dropped her purse, took off her heels, walked into the bedroom like it was just another normal night in our marriage. I didn't say anything, not yet, but something in my eyes must have changed, because she hesitated at the door. "Hey," she said softly. "You okay?" I nodded. Tired. She watched me for a moment longer, like she was trying to read my mind, but she couldn't, because I already knew everything. The morning after Monica and I connected, I woke up before sunrise and just stared at the ceiling. Kate was beside me, her breathing soft and steady, one arm stretched across to where I used to sleep closer. I hadn't moved much during the night. Couldn't. The knowledge was still too raw, like a burn that hadn't settled into pain yet. She rolled over at one point and murmured something half asleep, her hand brushing my shoulder. I didn't respond, just stared at the fan spinning overhead and counted every quiet rotation like it meant something. By 6:15, I was out of bed and in the kitchen, phone in hand. Monica had already messaged. "Monica, you up?" Me? "Yeah." She sent another file, a zipped folder this time, labeled Cross-check evidence, Stephen plus Kate. I downloaded it, heart pounding. Inside were spreadsheets, meticulously crafted timelines, matching dates, expense records. Google Calendar invites Monica had hacked from Stephen's synced devices. Every event color-coded, with a column next to each one for Kate confirmation. Some were direct. Kate had mentioned those dates to me, claiming they were for work. Others were newer, ones I hadn't known about yet. But the biggest punch came halfway through the sheet. 2 flights, one in March, one in June. Same departure, LAX. Same destination, Seattle. I stared at the confirmation numbers Monica had pasted in. 2 bookings under the same code. Stephen Grant and Kate Reynolds. She'd flown with him, not once, twice. Both times, she told me she had leadership offsites. She even brought back one of those bland-branded mugs they give you at conferences. I remember her unwrapping it from a hoodie, probably one of his, and saying, "Not exciting, but at least I got free coffee out of it." God, how many lies did she wrap in little jokes like that? I scrolled further, and that's when I saw it. A name I didn't expect. Whistler Digital. It was the name of a mid-sized tech consulting firm. One I vaguely remembered from months ago, when Kate mentioned she was mentoring a client team on change management. She'd been working with them remotely, said she'd only met one person in person, some developer who needed help streamlining project handoffs. I never got a name then, but it was right there now. Stephen Grant, the developer, the client, the one she'd casually referred to like he was a footnote. Meanwhile, she was building a whole other life with him. I went to his company's website again, this time slower. Dug through every profile, every team member. His bio said he'd joined the company in late 2021. A few months before Kate started working late. A few months before she pivoted her focus to external collaborations. I clicked on the blog section, something I hadn't looked at before. There were only a few posts, but one of them caught my eye. Dated from April. Title, Relearning Growth, What One Conversation Can Spark. I opened it. It was a personal essay. Rambling. Vague. But one line stood out. Sometimes connection doesn't happen where you expect it. It finds you when you're stuck, when you're doubting yourself, and suddenly someone walks in and says exactly the right thing. He didn't name her. But I knew. This wasn't just a fling. He admired her. He wrote about her like she'd saved him. Lifted him. He'd put her on a pedestal in front of the whole internet, even if only 5 people would ever read it. Around noon, Monica and I spoke on the phone for the first time. Her voice was calm. Tired. You could tell she'd cried it all out already. I tried to confront him 2 weeks ago, she said. He denied everything. Said I was being paranoid. Gaslighted me so hard I almost believed him. I nodded even though she couldn't see me. I know that feeling. He left his laptop open one night, she continued. And I saw the email. The one he never sent. After that, I started digging. Then I found you. You found me. She exhaled a short laugh. There was a dinner reservation under both their names. She used your last name. It popped up on my credit card statement when they split the bill and he reimbursed half of it. I Googled it. That sick feeling returned. Kate had used our shared name. Like it meant nothing. Like she didn't care that he'd see it on a receipt. Did you talk to her? I asked. No. Not yet. I thought about it, but I didn't want to give her the satisfaction. I figured she'd just spin it. I swallowed. Yeah. She's good at that. Stephen and I have 2 kids, Monica said quietly. One's 5. The other's almost 2. I closed my eyes. I'm sorry, I whispered. She didn't respond right away. When she finally spoke, it was with a steadiness that made me feel weak in comparison. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, she said. But I'm not pretending anymore. That part's over. I hung up feeling something I hadn't felt in weeks. Not hope. Not closure. But solidarity. Somebody else saw it too. Somebody else wasn't fooled. That evening, I printed every log Monica had shared. Screensh *TS. Email headers. Photos. I didn't know what I'd do with them yet. I just needed them in my hands. I spread them across our dining table like a blueprint of a demolished house. Kate came home around 6:45. Her heels clicked across the floor with that same casual rhythm. She smelled like the hotel's overpriced soap again. I could tell. She stepped into the dining room and froze. Her eyes locked onto the photos. Then the spreadsheets. Then the open laptop. And finally my face. Anthony? Her voice cracked, just a little. But I didn't say anything. Not yet. She took a step forward. What is all this? I think you know, I said, my voice flat. She hesitated. Her jaw tightened. Her hand went instinctively to her purse like she was reaching for an escape hatch. It's not a... Stop. Her mouth closed. I gestured to the photo. The one with her head on Stephen's shoulder at the outdoor concert. The one Monica had taken herself. You lied, I said. For months. She didn't respond. You flew with him. Had dinner with him. Laughed in his hotel room. You wore his hoodie into her home. Still, she said nothing. Tell me, I said more quietly now. Was there ever going to be a point where you told me the truth? She blinked. Her lip trembled. Then finally, I didn't mean to let it get this far. I almost laughed. Didn't mean to? Kate, this wasn't one mistake. It's a second life. She stepped back like I'd struck her. I didn't plan it like that. It just evolved. Evolved. I repeated, stunned. That's what you're calling it? She looked away, eyes glistening. I was unhappy, Anthony. For a long time. No, I said. Don't rewrite it now. If you were unhappy, you could have talked to me. You chose not to. A long silence followed. Then she whispered, are you going to leave me? I haven't decided, I said. But I'm done pretending. She nodded slowly like she already knew. And for the first time since all this began, I saw it. Not guilt. Not remorse. Just fear. Fear of losing the comfort. The mask. The story she'd spent months controlling. And she had every reason to be afraid. Because I wasn't alone anymore. In the days that followed our confrontation, Kate tried to patch the pieces with silence, then softness, then panic. At first, she acted like nothing had changed. She still made coffee, still texted me good morning like it wasn't soaked in irony. When I didn't respond, she shifted. Notes appeared on the fridge. Can we talk? I miss you. Let's fix this. Then came the blame. She said I'd been distant. That I stopped seeing her. That I buried myself in work and left her out in the cold. I didn't argue. There was no point. Even if any of that had been true, it didn't justify what she'd done. After I told her I'd shared the evidence with Monica, she finally broke. You had no right, she snapped. That's my life too. I remember looking at her, truly looking at her, and thinking, there it is. The mask's gone now. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. I handed her a folder I'd printed out, every hotel check-in, every chat log, every receipt. You made these choices, I said. Now live with them. She lost her biggest freelance contract that week. Monica emailed her firm's HR department, attaching the same materials I had. I didn't ask her to do it, but I didn't stop her either. Suddenly, clients were pulling out. Reputation mattered in their field. Trust mattered. And Kate had burned through hers the same way she burned through mine. She began texting me at night. First came guilt, then pleading, then threats, empty, bitter fragments of a woman watching her world collapse. The last time she showed up at the door, I didn't answer. I watched from behind the blinds as she stood there, arms folded, face unreadable. After a few minutes, she left. I haven't seen her since. Weeks passed. I expected to feel relief. What I felt was something quieter, emptiness, maybe. Or peace. I started changing the house. Pulled her framed photos off the shelves. Donated the dishes we bought at that weird flea market in Palm Springs. Repainted the guest room she used for work calls. I wasn't rebuilding. I was reclaiming. One day, Monica sent a short message. Just a quote. Now you know the truth. That means you can move forward. It stuck with me. We still talk occasionally. Two strangers tied by betrayal, oddly comforting each other. She once joked that we knew each other better than most people ever do. Maybe that's true. The house feels different now. Lighter. I filled the silence with music again. Reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in years. Even started running in the mornings, something I used to love before life got too crowded. There's no dramatic finish to this story. No perfect ending. But there's clarity. Kate chose someone else long before I found out. And now finally, I'm choosing me. Whatever comes next, it's mine to shape. And this time, it starts with honesty.